Hello. Today I'm going to talk a bit about verbs in Irish. I'm going to be talking about pronunciation, and specifically I'm going to be talking about the pronunciation within Kerry. So Munster Irish, West Munster Irish, specifically Corcoran Irish. I'm going to assume you have some basic knowledge of Irish verbs, so I'm not going to be explaining the concepts of conjugation, and I'm not going to go into a huge amount of detail for each tense. I'm just going to talk about the things that are different from the standard. So a lot of these things won't be standard, but they're still how you would pronounce the words. I'm going to be talking a lot about the pronunciation. I'm just going to talk about regular verbs here. I'm not going to touch on the irregular verbs, because there's a good few of those, and I think I'll do a separate video on them. And I'm not going to talk about verbal nouns, so that's things like re, because that would take a lot of time as well. In Irish, there's two kinds of verb forms, two ways of writing verb forms. One of them is separated, and one of them is joined. You might hear these called analytic and synthetic. So in separated, you have ones like táme, where it's two words. One word is the verb, and then one word is the pronoun. The joined form puts these together. So you have time, where there's just one word, and it means I am, rather than having a separate word for I and am. Something people often get wrong about this kind of construction is that they think that time is a contraction of táme. They think it's like I am and I'm in English, but that's not the case. Time and táme are different forms, and they're used in different places. So in Munster, these synthetic forms, these joined forms, are what's used most of the time. So you would much more often hear time than táme in Munster. In other places, you will hear both forms. Usually you'd hear táme, but you will sometimes hear these forms, the joined forms, in responses to questions. That's when they're most often heard in other places. But time is not a contraction of táme. You shouldn't use them as a way of shortening it. You should use it depending on the dialect. So time, very, very common in Munster Irish. Here's some other examples. So those first two are in the standard. You're allowed to use either of them in standard Irish, but the following ones on the right are not. So you have tá siad, and a synthetic version of that, a joined version, is táid. So that's they are. And then we have táhi for you plural are. Now some of these are more common than others, right? So táid is fairly common. You'd still hear people saying it, but táhi is much, much less common. And in fact, the second person plural, you plural forms of synthetic verbs are just really, really rare. I've never heard anyone say one other than táhi in the present tense or the future tense. So I won't be giving forms for those in the present and future. So with that said, we're going to look a bit at the present here. So for the present, first we're going to look at these short verbs, these one-syllable verbs, dún and bris. I'm not going to go through every form for every verb. I'm just going to talk about the ones which are noteworthy. So you'll see here, for the first form, we have dúnim. This is also what you have in the standard. Dúnais is not in the standard. So this means you close, you shut. And it's not in the standard. In the standard, you would say dúnantu, and that's also very common in Munster. People do say dúnantu. People don't always use this joined form. You have dúnan sé, dúnan she, he or she closes. And then you have this form, dúnamid, dúnamid, dúnamid. Dúnamid is not what you would have in the standard. Although people sometimes say it like that, the standard version. The standard version does not have a fada on this I, so it would be dúnamid. But that's very uncommon in Munster. You almost always have this long vowel here, so dúnamid. Then you have dúnan siv. As I mentioned, the joined forms here, really uncommon, so I'm not listing them. Dúnid. Dúnid is a little bit odd because it can be a joined form where it's just left alone, or it can be used alongside the pronoun. So you can have dúnid siad. And then, of course, there is also dúnid siad, and people say that. Then dúntar. So dúntar is the autonomous form, which means it's used to mean that something happens without specifying what the subject is. So if we say dúntar an doras gach, that means the door is closed every day. The door gets closed every day. Someone is closing it or something is closing it, but we're not mentioning what it is. Dúntar. Over here with bris, you see that the endings that we're adding are the same. The only difference is that here we write an A before the I am. And the reason we do that is that we're just trying to preserve the clarity of each consonant, right? So we're showing that this N is broad, and we're showing that because both consonants on either side are broad. Whereas if we wrote D, U, Fada, N, I, M without the A, that would be less clear. So we put in an A here, and then in the same way, when we're going brishin, when we're adding this ANN, we put an E here, just to clarify that this S is a slender S. It's brishin and not brisson or something like that. The forms then are the same going down. We've got some additional verbs here, which are also one syllable, but the way they work is slightly different. So for verbs like gleig, boig, and boig, the ending here is taken off before, the ending IGH, is taken off before the ending for the conjugation is added. So you get gleim, boim, and buim. Then these following ones, sig and lig, any one syllable ones ending in ig, they will get this long E vowel in them. So we have seem and leem. And so that makes them look similar to the forms I'm about to get onto here, the verbs I'm about to get onto. But really they tend to share more with this first group. They just have a lengthened vowel and then whatever the appropriate ending is. So these next ones are the two syllable ones ending in ig. So we have ones like kjanig and balig. So kjanig, what we see here is that we actually have very similar endings to the first group, and they're just added on to the end of the full word. So here I have the old spelling. The old spelling is kjanig, it's pronounced the same, but you can see more clearly here that it's just the IM ending added to the same stem. And in the modern spelling, we have changed out this IGHI into an I fada. So it becomes kjanig, and that's how we spell it now. But really, these endings are the same. And the same thing is true with kjanir. And again, this isn't always used. Sometimes you'd get kjaniuntu, and more often, really, you'd get kjaniuntu. And we have the same thing here with the kjanimid versus kjanimid. And again, with balim, it's the same thing, except the L here is slender, so we don't have this additional A before the I fada. Now let's talk a bit about the past tense. The past tense is one where all of these synthetic forms still get used, and still get used more or less often depending on the speaker. But so if we say I closed, runus, this one is really common. So the us ending is very common, and you'd hear nearly any Munster speaker saying it. Then for the second person, you closed, runish, runish. This is still fairly common. Not everyone would use it. You would get runtu as well, you closed. But runish is very common. Or this ush ending is very common. Runshe, she, and then runumish. This one is quite interesting because the standard version actually has a broad or here. It's runumur. But in Munster, and in most places where you'd hear this ending, you get a slender or, so tchulnamwir. And just keep that in mind if you're ever saying it, that it has a slender or here. Then for you plural closed, you have hunawir. This form is not super common anymore. You would hear a lot of people saying hunshiv, but there are some speakers still who say hunawir, and it's typically understood. People know what it means. People would respond to it, and it's especially common with older speakers, as a lot of these forms tend to be. Hunador, they closed. And this one again is really common. And in fact, this ending, this dor ending, has even transferred over to other dialects in slightly different ways. So you'll have people in Connemara often using this in the present tense rather than in the past tense, or in both even. Dulnach, which is the past autonomous here, is notably not lenited. And in general, the autonomous forms tend to resist lenition to some extent, so they'll be unlenited when you might expect some lenition. This ADH is pronounced as ch, or the DH is pronounced as ch here, and that's generally consistent with verbs in Munster Irish, that a final DH is pronounced ch, so as if it was a CH. But there are some cases where that's not true, so I'll mention them later. And then brish is the same thing here. Coming down here, we have kionig and we have balig. And again, we see that these endings are pretty easily formed by just adding the short form endings, or the one-syllable endings, onto the end. We see that this chianis came from chianis with an A-I-G-H-E-A. And then chianish, the same way. Something to note here is that the slender GH here, which I've mentioned in Munster is usually pronounced as a G, a slender G, it doesn't get pronounced before pronouns. So here I have two examples. We have chianig Seanle, Sean bought it, and chianashie. So before she here, the G is not pronounced, the GH isn't pronounced, so it's just chiana, chianashie. And there are some speakers who would still pronounce the G here, but it's very common not to pronounce the slender G at all here. And then same thing with the ending here, slender or in the dialect, and there's a broad or in the standard. And again, cianich, not lenited, and the DH is pronounced as a CH here. Something noteworthy with these one-syllable IGH verbs is that the IGH is actually pronounced as a G even before pronouns. So you get chléig Sean and chléig she, and the same with hig Sean and hig she. For the future, there's a lot to talk about, and most of that comes from this F. The F often confuses people. They're not sure how to pronounce it. The way that we pronounce this F usually is as a H. So what we say is this becomes dúnhig, dúnhig. The F here is said as a H. And then as I mentioned in the last video, the slender DH becomes a slender G. So our forms here are dúnhud, dúnhish, dúnhig. In this case, dúnhishe or she. As I mentioned, the IGH isn't said before the pronouns. Dúnhamid, dúnhishiv, dúnhid, and dúnfer. This dúnhid is the same case as before with the id ending, where you can use it on its own or you can use it before shiad. And I won't mention them from now on, but mostly all of these synthetic forms for the second person, so dúnhid, for the second person plural as well. A lot of these forms have the analytic options available. People will say them sometimes. People will say dulhame sometimes. There's a lot of variation. The F is actually pronounced here for the autonomous, dunfer. The F is said. So it's not dunher usually, it's dunfer. And the same here with brishfer. Notably, it's said with a broad F, which seems like it breaks some rules, and it kind of does, but it's an exceptional case where this ending, this fur ending, is always said with a broad F in the dialect, or nearly always. Something to note here with these F endings is that because they make this H sound, they can actually devoice consonants before them, so they can change what the consonant sounds like. And you got to be really careful here that I'm talking about a H sound rather than a H letter. So this isn't the same as lenition, which is shown with the H letter. This is a sound. So we get this word has a G, so we have fog as the stem and then hig, but this becomes fakig, fakig. And that's because this G sound gets devoiced into a C sound. So it goes from g to k. And then skjöpig, skriefig, fjötig, and guttig. So you get these following changes. You get the B to the P, the BH or an MH to the F, the D to the T, and then here I'm showing that it can happen with broad or slender, but it stays consistent to what it is. This devoicing is something that happens occasionally in other places, but I'll talk about those later. The two-syllable verbs here, they get this ending with an O, and this is the syllable that gets stressed as well. So you get kjanod, kjanod, kjanoshe, she. Again, IGH gets dropped before the pronouns here. Kjanomid, kjanoshiv, kjanod, and kjanofer. The F is said here again. As we see with our example verbs here, we have gleig becomes gleihig. So again, it's just getting that one syllable ending. And sig gets suihig. It gets the one syllable ending, but we've got this long vowel here. For the conditional, we have this F again, and it's pronounced similarly to in the future. So it's pronounced as a H for the most part. So we have ronhin, but then in this form, in the second person singular, the F is pronounced as an F. So we have runfa and vrishfa. And again, it's this thing of being a broad F, even if in the standard it would be written as a slender F. This DH again is a CH sound, so we get runhach she, and runhamisht. So this T here is something that some people will say and some people won't. You tend to get this change a lot where you have an ish can become an isht, and you'll see this with some of the other verb forms as well. So runhamisht, in the standard it's ish, it's a short vowel here, but runhamisht, runachshiv, runfi. Again, this F is pronounced. And just to check back in on the one syllable verbs here, we have gleihach and hihach. Again, following the pattern. You see again a similarity with the future tense for the two syllable ones. They have this O vowel again. So it's chanoin, chanofa, chanoch she, chanoch she, chanomicht, chanoch shiv, chanodish. And again in the standard here, this would be chanomish. But interestingly, the standard does have a long vowel for chanodish. And chanofi, the F is pronounced again. The past habitual is a tense that doesn't get a lot of use, and especially younger speakers are tending to use it less and less, but it's worth covering. in case you're reading something and in case you want to use it, which you should. It's similar to the conditional, at least for the one-syllable verbs. It's similar to the conditional, but without the F. So we have rúnin, rúntá, rúnach sé, she, rúnamist, rúnach shiv, rúnadist, rúntu, or duntu. Sometimes this is lenited, sometimes it's not. Something that's hard to notice sometimes is the difference between the conditional and the past habitual. They often sound very similar. So especially if you get one like vjishin versus vjishin, the H here after the S is not very clear, so they sound very similar. And you sometimes get that even when the H is clearer. So the difference between rúnhin and rúnin is not always very clear. For the long vowels here, or for the two-syllable ones, I mean, you get this long vowel, again caused by the short ending added on to the end here. So in the old spelling, we have shanlin written like this, and the new spelling, we have it written like this. You get shanlin, shanita, shanich she, she, shanli misht, shanlich shiv, shanli disht, and shaniti or chaniti. For the imperative, a lot of these forms are not things you're going to use very often, if at all. But the most common ones you're going to use here are dún, which is you're telling one person to close something, dúnadoras, close the door. Dúnamish, which is let's, so dúnamishidoras, let's close the door. And dúnig, which is close to a group of people. So dúnig na leabhaid, close the books. Here in the standard, it's very different. So we have dúnagi. Dúnagi is the standard form of this, but what you hear in Kerry is dúnig. For these two-syllable ones, ceannig and ceanimish and ceannig. The next thing I want to talk about is the particles that go with verbs. So these are these little words that add meaning before the verb. So there's two systems that you'll hear people speaking with in Kerry, and that is the old system and the new system. So in the old system, you have separate particles for the past tense that are only used in the past tense. And in the new system, those particles have essentially been replaced with the ones used in the present and future tenses. So in the past system, the old system, which is still used, you have a ceannig, and in the new system, you would have a ceannig there. Something to note here is that this un is really unstressed, and so the N is often dropped. So you could have an bhfuil, or you could have a bhfuil. And sometimes the whole particle is just so unstressed that it just gets dropped. So you just hear bhfuil. And similarly here, I say ceannig rather than an ceannig. That kind of elision, that dropping of syllables, dropping of unstressed words and vowels is very, very common in Irish and helps you sound more natural when you're speaking. And then again, the past form is used in the old system. So we have níor bhris, and the new system, ní bhris. Gurvalig, gmalig. Narhún, narhún. Sometimes you get this without lenition. You'd have like nádún, but you often hear it with lenition. This na particle doesn't lenite when it's used in the present tense, and it's used instead of nach, which the standard has. So in the standard, you might have nach núnan, but in the dialect, you'd have nádúnan, and it doesn't do any mutation here. So it's just nádúnan tú doras. Don't you close the door. There's some things I want to mention regarding verbs starting with vowels. So in the standard, you're probably aware of the past tense having this D added to it. The D here is often lenited in Kerry. So you have, instead of daimshime, you'd have raimshis. So this DH here, raimshish, etc. And here's another example in the conditional where it's slender. You have yatin, I could, yatfa, you could. You sometimes also get this DH as the lenition of a vowel. So instead of having niraimshig, you have the new system, which is to use ni, and then this kind of lenition of the AI vowel here. So you have niraimshig or nirolen. Syncopation is a little bit of a complex topic when it comes to the verbs, but basically you've got these 2-syllable verbs which don't end in ig, and a lot of the time they end in a slender or a slender l, or a slender n. And what happens with these is that they're used in the past tense when they've got this stem on its own. In the analytic forms, it's just used as normal, and it's used in the imperative like that as well. But then when it's conjugated into these other forms, the or the l or the n becomes broad. So you get vagris and bagrian. And then the base form, it just stays for vagershiv. Hangelshiv, hangelis. Chosenshiv, chosenlis. And you also get this with folim. I don't know if there's many others that have this m change, but it's a similar change. So you have chaulim shiv, chaulimuis. This change to broad doesn't happen, as far as I can tell, when the first consonant or the consonant before the or the l or the n is slender. So you have yimershiv and yimeris, shimmelshiv and shimmelis. And so in this case, the or stays slender and the l stays slender.